Mindless. Hi, welcome. My name is Shalane McLaughlin, and I am a fitness expert or professional. Hi, Suzanne. And I've been teaching group exercise for over 10 years. I am a master instructor and presenter for AFA, the Athletic and Fitness Association of America. So this year, I've canceled all of my sessions and trainings and 2 conference speakings because of all the stuff going on. And I wanted to be able to help people who've been home dealing with the same issues that I've been dealing with: loneliness, overeating, loss of health, loss of good eating habits. So the session this week is about mindless eating, and I do want us to have some interaction. So there's going to be game time. You guys ready? Have you guys ever played Never Have I Ever? So it's a drinking game. Basically, you start with never have I ever, and then you go around, and if people have done it, then they have to take a drink. Well, we're not doing that today. We're going to do the Zoom version. So basically, what we're going to do is put your hands up. You don't have to show everybody. You can put them down, but take 10 fingers and put them down or put them up, whatever you like. And when I say something, if you've never done it, leave your fingers up. And if you have done it, you put it down. So for example, if you say, never have I ever gone skinny dipping, you don't need to show me. That's all right. All right. So this is going to be first version. All right. 10 fingers, right? Have you ever visited the fridge and just open and close the door?
All the time.
Huh? All the time. So then you got to take one down. All right. Have you ever eaten in front of the TV or at home or while you're reading? Yes? You have to leave them up.
TV, or you can leave them up. Okay.
Yeah, leave them up. Leave them up.
Oh, leave them up.
Leave them up. Leave them up. So have you ever eaten while you were working or driving or on the computer? Yep. All those hands are still up, right? Do you ever have a fear of missing out at the buffet and get like all the food on your plate, or if you're afraid, like if you go to a party, like people are going to take the food that you like, so you load it up on your plate?
I generally go back.
All right. Have you ever, this is number 5, ate the whole large box or bag of something that you did not mean to? Suze, why are you laughing? Okay, number 6, eat past when you're full and felt terrible after. Ate something even though it wasn't tasty or you didn't want to eat it because it was there. Right?
You do it all the time.
All the time.
Yes. Now this one's for you, Dara. Consider a meal as something to complete and get done with. How about eat at random times or skipped meals? Anybody? Yeah? Everybody's still up there, right?
Yeah, always, man.
And then number 10, this is a big one for me. Feel like you have to clean your plate. That's mine. So I have all 10. So I have not done any of these things. Now, that would be a horrible thing to just leave ourselves on, right? So let's think about mindful things. Have you ever savored the flavor of a dish? If you did, close your hand 1 finger at a time. All right? Have you ever listened to your body and stopped when you're full? Yes? Have you ever lingered and enjoyed a meal? Good. Have you ever cooked and ate while you were happy? Yeah.
And ate while you were happy?
Yeah, while you felt good.
Okay.
Have you ever drank a full glass of water with your meal? Okay. Have you ever ate at a dining table? Okay. Have you ever thought about why you wanted to eat? Right? Have you ever thought about and looked at what you're eating and looked at the colors and the textures and really noticed them, right? The presentation. Have you ate at a designated time even though you weren't hungry? Ever, right? Okay. And then number 10, have you ever made eating an exclusive event, like made that the main event of of the day?
Yeah.
All right. So, you know what? We've all been mindful and we've all been mindless. That's basically
Got it.
the point. Okay, now it's snack time. I want you guys to take your plate and put 2 pieces of your snack on the plate. Don't eat it. Okay? Now the rest of your snack you can eat while we are going through this session. Okay? All right. Don't eat the 2 pieces on your plate, or else you're going to have to run out and get some more snacks. Okay, we're going to do an exercise at the end. All right, today we're going to cover mindless eating versus mindful eating. We're going to talk about triggers of what causes us to eat mindlessly. Disadvantages, why we should not eat mindlessly. Easy, right? What are some mindful eating tips and benefits? And then tips to eat. Oh, well, I guess that was all together. And then the tips of how we should eat mindfully. Okay. Basically, mindless eating is when you are not aware of what you're doing and how much food you're consuming. And mindful eating is the opposite. It is being aware and being able to savor your food that you're eating. So, a lot of these things are triggered by everyday events, right? We are triggered to mindlessly eat all the time. So, some of these top triggers that we have are sometimes connected to things that are positive to our life, like my daughter baking, and she wants me to taste her new creation, or somebody that you love making you a food that you love because they love you, right? So it's not necessarily a bad thing connected in our system. Like, we don't think of mindless eating necessarily always as something bad for us, right? But we have these triggers. The top triggers are actually exhaustion. If you are too tired, your body craves carbs. Your body craves sugar because it needs that energy. So if you're tired and you're not sleeping enough, that's one of the top reasons for you to just start mindless eating. If you're up late at night and you're up late past your bedtime and your body is just starting to get tired, but you're still up and still doing things, it's going to say to your brain, go and get me something to eat because I need more energy. So sometimes, instead of trying to push through when you're tired, just get some rest. Like, that might just be the easiest thing. Or drink a glass of water. That might be something that could counter that kind of trigger. Now, multitasking and mindless behaviors. That is really hard, especially when you're working full-time. When I worked on a trading floor, I would mindlessly eat all day because I was stressed and I was sitting at work and I was just doing this and then just while I was working because nobody saw me. I was on just computers and the phone, and that was it. A lot of times that comes from a lack of self-care or self-compassion. Like, we do not care enough about our bodies to be like, I don't need this. I don't, this is not necessarily good for me. And sometimes that's what we do to soothe and reward ourselves, right? So that comes from just being in there and watching that TV show and then just sitting there and doing that, and then it's part of our experience. We also have things in our environment that help us mindless eat. So sometimes it's when we go to a buffet, which not necessarily is a bad thing, but if you do it all the time, then maybe it's not necessarily a good thing. It could be something like a food advertisement or a commercial that triggers some sort of thing in you that'd be like, okay, yeah, I want to eat that. What are some things that you guys think in your environment that triggers you? Or maybe somebody next to you eating something that you want and you're like, ooh, right? There's constantly tons of things. Like if you have food around that you buy and bring into your house, then you're like, well, I'll just have one, and then you end up eating the whole bag, right? This one, number 4, is really hard and really, really tough one because those are deep inset. For example, last week I talked, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, we talked about self-sabotage, and and I said, you know, like I grew up in an Asian household where we had to clean our plate. You know, they grew up during wars, they didn't have enough food, and for us, food was like an extension of love. So it was care. Like we didn't, our family actually was well-to-do, but my family was really, really cheap. They only splurged on food. So we had to use 2 pieces of toilet paper, but they'll put shrimp on the table, you know? So it was like that kind of mentality where I thought food was a reward and food was nourishing and food was love, and I had to eat all of it. So you put it on your plate, you had to eat the whole thing. And then when I got married and I was cooking for my kids and my kids wouldn't eat the rest of their food and my husband wouldn't eat the rest of their food, I would just be cleaning off all their plates. So I ate like 3 people's worth of food. You know, like this is not good for you. But I'm just like, I knew it, but I still did it because I just couldn't leave that, you know, plate full of food. I could not scrape it and put it in the garbage. The other thing that we eat that is really, really hard and is a top trigger is emotions. We eat in response to emotions, and that is automatic. Like this is something that we can do. And then it just gets us in the cycle of feeling guilty and powerless over food. And that is something that we have to break out of. So look at yourself and see, when are you stressed? Are you, you know, like people eat when they're stressed or smoke when they're stressed or do something when they're stressed, and that behavior is their treatment. Now that behavior necessarily isn't their treatment, but we've made it our treatment. Does that make any sense? Right? So we're like that Pavlov's dog with the bell. We associate, you know, stress, and then we associate in the middle, you know, like eating with relief. But that's not necessarily the case. We could replace that with something else. We just need to find out what that something else is. So that's something that we have control over, because we can literally stop and reset ourselves. Now, a lot of times when we're overwhelmed, helpless, anxious, that's another example of when people eat, right? It can be very soothing. It can be delaying. Like I was making the PowerPoint for this presentation, and instead of making it, I was eating lunch. And it wasn't because I sometimes it was just like, you know, where am I going to start? How am I going to do this? So I was like, I'll just go and get something to eat. So that could be a delaying tactic. It's okay to give yourself a break.
Tell me.
Yeah.
I got a good one.
Yeah.
I know sometimes we get invited to go places. I mean, okay. But you might go to someone's house, they're having a little gathering. And I find that if I don't really know anyone, say I'm going to joke because they're people you know, then because I'm a little stressed and I'm probably bored and I don't have anything in common with them, and try to strike up conversations, and sometimes I just can't quite, you know, hit it so I can have a conversation. Mm-hmm. So I just go get food.
Yeah, that's a coping mechanism.
I continue to get food.
Yeah, because you get anxious. You don't know, like, You're overwhelmed with this situation, a strange
I'm not
situation.
overwhelmed. I'm just
Well,
bored
no,
and
but
have anything in common with them. So
yeah,
it's
but
something to do.
and actually, when you go to networking classes, they tell you to have like something in your hand so that that can be a buffer. That is something that they teach you to do during networking classes for business, you know, like if you're at a social event. And then they actually say things like, don't pick things that are messy to eat. And it's like so funny. But okay. Let's see. Sometimes we feel stuck or bored or ineffective.
Well, I
You
think
know, think about it.
with us being, you know, on house arrest, so to speak.
Yes.
We can be busy and do some projects and things like that, but the most of the day we're just walking from room to room or stuck in a chair.
Yeah. So then you're like, well, am I eating because I'm bored or am I eating because I'm really
You know
hungry?
what I do? We have an island we can walk around.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
I'll be headed to the refrigerator. No, really. And so I've gotten up to get something out of the refrigerator, and I'm getting pretty good where I can rethink it. And by the time I get to the refrigerator, I go get a glass and I get water instead. But I still go to the refrigerator with the idea of eating. So maybe 9 times out of 10 I'm successful, but I do end up in the refrigerator.
Well, you have to think about what you can do instead of that, right? So like, all right, let's see. What about frustration and anger? Like anger eating and frustration eating. Like that is rarely satisfying in the long term, honestly. And it doesn't ever solve or resolve your source of your frustration. So it's like, how do we need to practice things like pausing, taking deep breaths, and then thinking about what's really making us angry or frustrated, and then dealing with that. And that will be a really good resolution.
Do you think, so like eating in response to like an emotional trigger, is it like distracting you from the emotional trigger? Is that why? Or is it like a chemical, you know, you eat something.
It could be
and you
both.
get like a chemical that like make you get a good feeling that you ate your cookies or whatever.
Right. So that's like a lifetime of ingrained, trained responses that we've given our body, right? So yes, we do get the endorphins from eating, or people wouldn't be eating. Right. The last emotional trigger that I wanted to talk about was feeling deprived. So people sometimes don't think that, okay, I'm going to never be able to eat this again, or, you know,
That's what she means.
what?
Okay.
You know, or I'm someplace special, I'm going to just go all out. But or you're going to say, okay, I'm on a diet and I can't eat this. And now you feel like, oh, I have to eat this. And you think about that the whole time. It's like with this whole coronavirus and putting on a mask and touching your face, like you're not supposed to touch your face. And the one thing you want to do is touch your face, right? So
My nose all the time.
Reverse psychology.
Right? It's that reverse psychology. Okay. So that makes sense to you guys. Now, the disadvantages of mindless eating is that there's this report done by the University of Binghamton who, for those who paid attention to the food they ate, noticed their body's fullness cue, as remembered the fullness cue during their next meal. So those who didn't remember eating were more likely to eat again sooner. So that was an actual study done by University of Binghamton. So a lot of times if we are focused on eating, then our body actually gets a chance to catch up. So we have the 20 minutes of when our food actually hits our stomach from our mouth. And that's when there's enough food in our stomach, it sends a signal to our brain to say, like, you need to stop eating because you're full. Well, that 20 minutes is hard to gauge if you don't do it constantly, or if you expanded your stomach by eating too much than what you're supposed to get. So if you pay more attention to your food, you will end up eating less over the long run. Emotional eating is using it as a coping mechanism, like Susie says, will give you an immediate satisfaction, but it doesn't actually fix the long-term solution, and it creates more problems down the road. So it's like, again, the four things, like you want to do something because it's good for you, you want to do something but it's bad for you, you know, you don't want to do something even though it's good for you, and then you don't want to do it because it's bad for you, right? So it's the two in the middle that we always talk about. That is the hard one. So it's like self-care. Anything that you have about self-care, if it ends up being bad for you in the long run, that's not self-care, right? That is opposite of self-care. Mindless eating often involves unhealthy food choices. And that is because it's so easy to eat. There's 5 aisles of bad for you snacking, but, you know, any vegetables or fruits that you have to eat take all this extra effort. You got to wash it, you got to cut it, you got to do things to it. So it is harder to eat healthier when you're eating mindlessly. You just want to grab something and go. Distracted eating, this is the big one that everybody thinks about, may drastically increase your calorie and food intake. And that is something that we all know in our heads, but we don't actually practice. So let's figure out, like, what can that add up to? So if you have 28 pieces of M&Ms, or 2 double stuffed Oreos, or a 1/4 cup raisins, if you do one of those extra calories more than you need every day in a year, it can add up to 12.5 pounds of weight gain. So if you ate just one of those things every day, that was your cheat meal, and you didn't do anything extra, it could add up to 12 pounds to 15 pounds in 1 year. Then you're like, oh, shoot, right? The amount of exercise that you have to do to make up for all of these extra calories is a lot. I mean, we burn extra calories every day by walking, breathing, you know, moving, but we're only supposed to have a certain amount of calories, and that really will add up quick when we eat those extra snacks. Now, benefits of mindful eating is that hopefully if we are mindful with our eating, we are learning the differences between why we're eating. So we're going to find our emotional and physical hunger cues. The second one is recognize why we're eating even when we're not hungry, right? 3, we're going to reduce our overeating and maybe gain weight. 4, this is actually really good to improve our digestive system. So if we eat consistently and at the times that we're supposed to, it helps our digestion, because our body knows this is when we have to digest, you're not going to eat too much, and then this is when it regulates our whole system. So when my daughter was born, Jenna was born, she was really colicky. So she would cry and like projectile vomit all the time.
Yeah.
And I for Jenna. So I felt terrible for this little kid. Plus, I was just like at the end of my rope because she was screaming all the time. And I found this book, and it was called Contented Little Baby by Gina Ford. And it basically said you have to set the baby on a feeding schedule and anticipate the baby's hunger. Or the baby, when it's time to eat, will eat too much and eat too fast. And then eat past, when they feel full because they're just like starving. So we all know that feeling when we're starved and we want to eat, we eat like everything in sight and we gobble it down. So that actually causes air to go in our digestion and all sorts of bad for us in terms of our health, right? So that actually was very helpful, and Jenna did stop getting colicky. The other thing I had to do was really like burp her hard, which does not have to do with this. I'm not burping nobody, but but it was helpful for her to be on a set time schedule to eat. Number 5, the other thing is your body then anticipates that you're going to get food all the time, so it doesn't feel like it's going to be starving and be in that starvation mode. So 5, if you are eating mindfully, a lot of times we pick foods that are both nutritious and delicious because we're conscious of what we're going to put in our bodies. So then that will give us better energy, and then hopefully we learn to solve our emotional triggers, and then hopefully we'll be able to eat less while being more satisfied. Okay, now when we have mindful eating and we just say, okay, we're going to mindfully eat and not think about diet, that is like a huge thing because now we can turn that into a positive. So instead of feeling like, oh, I need willpower to eat, I'm going to say to myself, I'm going to be trustful that I know when I want to eat and when I need to eat. Instead of saying like external cues and things outside of me affecting when I eat, I'm going to take those internal cues and figure out when I need to eat. Instead of thinking about losing weight, which is one of those like horrible guilt kind of things, we're going to think about just being healthy and putting good nutritious food into our body. So dieting also gives us this like avoidance thing. I can't eat this, 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 and this. Whereas if we're going to be mindful, we want to be accepting of ourselves and accepting of the food that we put in. We want to have quality calories, not counting calories. We want to be flexible, not restrictive. We want to have satisfaction in our food versus deprivation, right? So there's a lot of really good things that we can sell, not sell ourselves, but like kind of rethink the way that we think about eating to make it good for us. Does that help anyone? Does anybody have anything to add? Okay. Oh, so basically, we want to be able to accept our body instead of hating our body, right? We want to love our body and give it what's good for it versus be like, I don't like this, this, and this about my body. So that is my final like takeaway. Like we really have to rechange our mindset to be towards something that's positive and powerful versus like denial and quick fixes. Okay, have you guys been eating your snacks? No. So actually that's good. I kind of, caught your attention. You guys weren't eating your snacks. But let's take one piece of your snack and then we're going to do a mindful eating exercise. Because if you've been eating your snack previously, hopefully it was going to show you that you were mindlessly eating. But you guys didn't do it, so I'm proud of y'all. But let's do this. Okay.
Yeah, I did. I ate it all.
You ate it all?
I still got a piece or two.
Good, Joe. All right, ready? We're going to do this get your last piece, and the second piece is for an extra, just in case you finish and eat your last piece. All right, so we're going to do this exercise. First of all, Don't eat it. Take your plate and put your food in front of you. Okay. You got it? You got your food? Everybody's good?
Yep.
Except for you, Dave. You got nothing. You got water. All right. We got the water. Okay, now take your feet. Put them flat, both feet flat on the ground, hip width apart. Put your knees over your ankles. Okay. Now, take your butt and space it evenly in the chair, both butt cheeks on the chair.
Spread your cheeks, baby.
That's it. Okay. Take your back. Keep it nice and straight, fully stacked over your hips and facing your food. So I got to do that. Okay? Good. Now, take a deep breath into your lungs. That's exactly next. Breathe deep into your lungs. Think about your stomach. Is it full? Is it empty? How hungry are you? Okay? You guys are thinking about this? Now, for the snack that you have, think about what it's made of, where it was made, how it was made, why it was made. Think about your snack. Look at your snack and think about it. Now, look at the color and the texture, the presentation of your snack. If you guys want to see my snack, my daughter made me a snack. You want to see it?
What is it?
This actually is my lunch. It's eggs with rolled up little protein thing, and it's way too much rice, but that's what she made for me. Because I didn't have lunch. All right. So you think about presentation, color, textures, right? Okay. Now you can pick it up. Touch it. Feel it. What does it feel like? Does it make any noises? Is it crunchy? Is it crispy? Smell it. You smelling it? I don't see you smelling it. Does it smell like anything? What's in it? Can you smell any notes of anything?
Soy sauce.
Soy sauce, okay.
Yep.
I have low, so I don't know if you guys are Asian people have this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Smell your water. You know what? It's important. I always smell liquids like milk or water. I always smell it. Okay, now put it in your mouth and taste it and chew it for 40 chews. See, now you need the second piece, Joe.
That's true. A lot of chews.
You would never eat one
I
at
would
a
never
time.
see that for the time. Mm-hmm.
That was like that class I took. Are we on mute?
All right, I got to 30. Did anybody get up to 40?
You gonna talk to me?
I did.
Didn't make it.
Didn't make it. I got up to 30.
Shalane, this exercise reminds me of that class I told you.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Tell me about that.
Well, I went to Utah to a fat farm many years ago.
Yeah, you.
Well, Seiko didn't hear it.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. And so
And Susie didn't hear either.
we came up with a program based on my, height, weight, all that kind of stuff. And the fact that I wanted to lose weight, how many calories I needed each day, and what the food would be. And so I set up a program where I had to hike first, and then I would come back and have my fruits and grains for breakfast. And then there was swimming and, the workout room and all that kind of stuff. But I took a class while there, and it was probably called something like mindful eating. And we all sat at the table, and we all had our place settings with our knives and forks and our water glass and our wine glass and the whole bit. And he talked about sitting erect in the chair, getting close, so much distance from the table, and how many chews for each thing. And then after you swallow, then you have to take time and you have to wash it down. So we did all that. And I remember sharing that with you, and I got it, but it made me so anxious, so frustrated, and so angry that I just wanted to gobble up the food just so he would shut up.
Well, that was also because possibly you were so hungry at that time.
No, I wasn't particularly hungry. It was just, to me, it seemed like such a waste. And I got where he was going with it, but it wasn't something that I could do.
Okay, so then how about, do we still have that second piece of snack?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so let's chew this time and see how many chews it takes you to go through the snack. I got 30. So then you guys chew and then count how many chews it takes you to go through the snack. Can you get to 10 chews?
Mm-hmm. This takes a while.
Now, one of the things that I went to my doctor's on Tuesdays for my physical, which they couldn't do over the phone or over FaceTime.
Over 20.
So that's why there was no classes on Tuesday. But one of the things that my doctor said, because I said, I eat well, I eat lots of fruits and vegetables, and everything is like, as soon as I eat, I bloat. And
You bloat?
right, I get so bloated. I look like I'm pregnant when prior to eating, I am normal, right? So my doctor actually said, well, it could be a couple of different things. One is it could be gluten intolerance, eating inflammatory type foods, which we all know, like, wheat and sugars and stuff like that, eating gassy foods. And then the last thing he said that was really interesting to me was he said that it could be that you have a slow digestive system. And to treat that, you actually are supposed to eat food that is all ground up. Remember last week we talked about having the healthy food with all the textures and stuff? Well, if you gulp that down, it actually, if you have a slow digestive system, it will just back up in your system. So the chewing, the really, really masticating of your food will help prevent that if you want to eat healthy foods and still do this. And then also cooking your foods and vegetables a little bit, which kind of loses the nutrition value. But anyway, depends on what your body needs. The last thing I want us to think about is our heart. So we used all of these senses and all of these eating with our whole body basically, but our heart really is the key to making this work. We need to have caring and value ourselves and the choices that we make to really get this to work. So are we thinking about, are we making choices that are not just good for us, but also good feeling to us, right? So, and then kind of weigh that against all of these factors. All right.
Something?
Yes.
Okay. Remember we made the commitments last week?
Yep, we're going to talk about them.
Okay. Well, yesterday I decided that I was going to have a Coca-Cola.
Uh-huh.
So it was 16.9 ounces. So I got half of that with ice.
Okay.
And I had just been craving it. So I succumbed to the craving. And I tell you, because I had done so well, and because you said just drink water for 4 days, and I ended up drinking water for 6 days, and then
Good for you.
Then I had the Coca-Cola,
Okay.
and I tell you, it kept me up all night. It did. So I guess my point is, your body will also tell you when you're eating or drinking something that it either doesn't want or can't tolerate, and we really have to be cognizant of what our body is telling us. And I told Joe, that I had the strangest dream because I was up all night going back and forth to the bathroom because of the coke, because that's what it does. It makes my bladder burn. And every time I got up, I would get another glass of water, but I was still having the same problem. So I fell back asleep and I had a dream that I was with my work group. And I don't know whatever we were doing, but in the meantime, I got a Coke out of the vending machine. And so they stopped all work and did an intervention and told me why Coca-Cola was bad for your system. And they spent like 20 minutes talking to me. And then the boss, finally said to me, but we're going to let you make your own decision, Dara, right? So then I says, well, I'm going to pour it out. And I went to go pour it out down the drain. They said, don't do that. You'll ruin the pipes. So they sent me outside. I poured it in the grass. And then I woke up.
Well, you know what? That is awesome because that is something that you did mindfully. And then your body told you and you were aware of your body. So that is awesome, awesome, awesome. Yay! I'm so proud of you. I will send this graphic out to people. Hi, puppy. You want to say hi to Kona? He came to say hi. He's a little snuggle bug, and he's said, "Mommy, you've not paid any attention to me for the past 45 minutes." We spent way too much time. Okay, let's go through the rest of these really quickly so we have time to talk. And if you guys can stay after to do the discussion, I would love that. We will stop the recording before then, so don't worry about that. Okay, so mindful eating, you want to observe your body, your food, you want to savor the experience, you want to be aware of putting food into your mouth. The other thing is being in the moment, really, really being there and really engaging in all your senses for the food, and then not have any distractions. The last thing we were talking about was just being non-judgmental to yourself. So even if you've done something that you're not proud of, if one of your friends came up to you and asked you, and said to you, oh, I ate that whole bag of chips, what would you tell them? Think about it to yourself before we just feel so bad about it. So
when I was in Weight Watchers, they used to say, even if you, in a sense, fell off the wagon, you can always start again.
Yeah.
Have a clean slate. Start again. And that keeps you from beating up yourself, because if you beat yourself up, then a lot of times you say, then why am I even doing this if I'm going to keep slipping?
Exactly. It's okay to slip. And it's also okay to make those choices every single time. We have to make new choices every single day. It's a journey. It's not a weight loss.
Because we've been eating this way all our lives.
Exactly. So the tips, if you want to get some ones, is just start with one meal a day to make mindful eating. Whether it's your breakfast, it's a snack, whether it's your dinner, if you really want to go all out for it, pick a meal and really start with one meal a day that you're going to make a commitment to be mindful to eating. Sometimes we can talk about this later. This is another whole topic, is meditation, not medication, meditation. That's another whole topic and a half. But sometimes eating is my meditation. Sometimes doing Zumba is my meditation because I am focused just on it, drinking that coffee, drinking the tea, and really enjoying it. And that is something that comes from practice. And then also, now that we have some more time, hopefully we will have time to do this. Number 2, slow down. That one for you, Joe, right, was a tough one.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Right. So it takes up to 20 minutes for us to feel full. So if we slow down and enjoy our food, we will probably be able to get that cue better. We will be able to know when our body is full. And once we know when that is the amount of food that we're supposed to eat, notice kind of slowly stop, right? That also draws out the meal so that it is more enjoyable instead of it's being over and it's done with. So maybe Dara and Joe, I know Dara brushes through the meal and then Joe's like off doing something else. Maybe try to make it so that you get to do something special at mealtime. You know, talk about your day, like pick something to do that you create a new ritual for you guys to do while you're eating. Or prepare food together and then eat it together. Something, whatever it is, you guys have to think about something that'll work for you.
No.
No fighting. No smacking each other.
She'll be done ate and everything before I even get to the table. I'm telling you.
He's so slow.
I'm not.
Well, think about something that you can, maybe not for dinner, but maybe like breakfast or lunch. Think about doing something special for a different meal. Creating a healthy eating environment. So avoiding the distractions, stop raiding the cabinets and your pantry and your fridge, and try to keep unhealthy foods from sitting on your countertops where you can just walk by and see them. Like really make it so that you have to work for that food. Think about your feelings when you're eating. Why are you eating, right? Are you hungry or are you eating for something else? Don't have distractions. You know, turn off the TV, place your phone in another room. You know what? That was a hard one for me because my dad and our together time was eating dinner, and we always watched a show. So like A-Team, Knight Rider, like this was me growing up. So I actually connected TV and food, you know, with my dad. So that's a hard one for me. Use a food diary or track your emotional eating. So that I actually have a page that you can print out at home and just fill out. And it doesn't have to be anything complicated. You could just do it in a notebook, you know, just make some little grids and help yourself.
My car is ready. I'm
So
going
it's
out
time
to
to
that.
go. Okay. Bye, Dave.
Okay.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much. Don't forget, I'm going to check with you tomorrow. You coming into class tomorrow?
Yeah, maybe.
11? Okay.
We'll see.
Well, if you do,
Okay.
I want to find out from you if you've done your challenges for the week.
Okay.
You were supposed
Okay.
to have done number 3 and 6.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to check with you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay. Food diary. Measure your food for portion control. Measure your food. Next day, if you're still hungry, make it a little bigger or make it a little smaller. Adjust it so then you know how much you need to eat. And then number 7, pay attention to your hunger cues. So that really is, there's a scale, but obviously you can just ask yourself if you're still hungry. All right. The last one that somebody has done is to eat with your non-dominant hand. So if you eat with your left hand, if you're right-handed, that'll slow you down for sure. So that was another clue. So I'll send you guys all these pictures so you'll get an email from me. Seiko, if I don't have your email, please send it to me so that I can send you all this information, or you can go to a website.
Okay, or should I send you, I can send you by chat right now, or
Yes.
I can, I have like your email about this event. So if I respond to that email, reply to that email, you're going to receive it? No, it says,
Yeah, well,
no, it says no reply at theeventbrite.com. So I guess no.
oh, okay, no. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
So you signed up online, so I have it. Perfect.
Oh, okay, great.
Yes,
Yeah,
I have it.
that email is good.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay. So let me hear your takeaways. What are you guys going to take away from the session today?
Yeah, well,
I will also send you this 12 mindful eating strategies. Anything?
I think I did 2 last. You can talk if you want.
I think one thing I'm being bad about it is eating at the fixed time, especially about this shelter in place that started. You know, we kind of wake up when we want to, eat when we want to. So I think that's something I can do better.
Okay. Well, it it doesn't necessarily have to be at a set time. It could be like an hour after I wake up, I'm going to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Or
we do have kind of a pattern.
Yeah,
we
so
wake
having
up,
patterns,
right.
yeah. So
Okay.
it doesn't have to necessarily be like, I have to get up at this time. But it is being mindful of when you're eating and then preparing things in advance for it. So if
May
you're
I
going to
ask
get
you a
up,
question?
yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No.
I think I have the specific problem about emotional eating. I know when like I'm feeling stressed, you know, usually happens around 5 o'clock, like, you know, when I'm working. I feel stressed and I feel like I crave like crunchy food. You know, that's kind of like, I know like there is a pattern, but, you know, and I'm aware, but it's very hard to break that the habit or pattern.
Here, but she's just not.
Now, what about trying to replace that crunchy food with something healthy? Like
right. I do
carrots
try. I do
or
try.
something like that.
Like, you know, like try to eat nuts instead of like rice crackers or something.
Yeah, oh my goodness, rice crackers. So
Yeah, so
was
bad.
so bad for you.
Oh,
So
good,
bad
it was
for
so
you.
bad, yes.
But you know, like you want something savory, you know, so think about it and then prepare that food in advance so it's ready if you are hungry and you can just go and grab it.
Okay.
But it takes 21 days to create a new habit. So don't feel bad if you haven't done it for 21 days that it didn't happen, you know? Okay. Good. Susie, anything for you? Lenora, anyone? No?
I just think like planning ahead, so then when you're hungry, you're not just grabbing whatever's there quick, like because you're starving, and just being, and also just thinking about when you're eating to like, is this food good for me? Or, you know, now it just like, instead of just grabbing it, eating it, it's like, should I be eating that? Maybe I'll find something else, or next time I'll prepare it, something ahead of time, so that, you know, like live and learn, you know?
Right. I think as busy moms, we tend to just grab whatever's quick and fast and get it done with so that we can take care of everybody else. Or just busy people in general, not just busy moms, but especially as me as a mom, when I was working and everything, it was just whatever was speedy and easy, and those things are usually not healthy for us, right? So until we make it that way. So it's kind of, the key is to make it a part of our lifestyle so that Cornell researcher and professor Brian Wansnick said the best diet that you are on is the one that you don't know you're on. I kind of mangled that, but it's basically that. That's basically what he says. So it's making it a part of our life and our lifestyle. So if we have a healthy lifestyle, then it's going to happen. It's going to work because we're now being mindful of what we put into our bodies. Okay, quick poll. It is anonymous, so just select. I think if I had to vote, I think I put too much info in today because it took too long, because I really wanted us to have more time to discuss things. But you guys can pick whatever you like. Go ahead, vote. Let me see what you guys have. Just
There's nothing there. It's just A, B, C, or D.
Right. A is too much info.
Behind it. Okay.
Sorry. B is great. You learned enough and you feel motivated. C, you need more info. D, you didn't learn anything. You didn't have anything to take away. Okay. All right. Anybody else want to vote? Everybody's good? All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. If you want to get the decks and the PDFs, you can go to getfit.shalanefit.com, and all of the slideshow, the deck, is going to be on there. But if you have attended this with me and registered for this event on Eventbrite, I will send you all my talking points. So all the things that I talked about and more things that I didn't talk about in a big in a Word document. So that is the purpose of having you guys come online instead of seeing it, after the fact. And if this was helpful to you, feel free. I'm going to put this post, up on YouTube, and then you guys can share the links with people if you'd like. So basically, if you want to take any Zumba classes or general info, you can go to ShalaneFit.com. If you want to get an email with upcoming events with me, you can do join.shalanefit.com. And if you want to, feel free to give me any donations, because I basically am not working right now. You can also go there and give me some. There's ways of paying me there. But attendees, stay with me for the breakout room session and follow-ups that are not going to be recorded. And thank you to everybody who has been listening in.